Sports on a Thursday, a Titans Thursday, as always, as we were getting closer and closer to Titans at Ravens coming up in Baltimore on Sunday. We'll have a ton of coverage from Baltimore as Buck Rising actually leaves for Baltimore to go on the road for the first time this year tomorrow afternoon. So looking forward to all of our A to Z sports coverage for Titans Ravens. It's going to be a big game. You got Nance and Romo, Zach, for the first time this year for the Titans. But we're talking today about the Titans offense. And you might not really think or about the Titans offense having problems this season because of how hot they started in their first 5 games to get this franchise to a 5-0 start. But the last 4 games, the Titans have gone 1-3. And yes, the Titans offense is to blame. And we've got stats to point out some of the Titans offensive issues. Also have a video clip from Nate Washington to play for you guys as he went on Buck 615 Sessions podcast earlier in this week. I thought was really good insight of what the Titans offense is lacking under Arthur Smith right now in 2020. Then we'll discuss Lamar Jackson. I think the Titans defense is actually set up to succeed against last year's NFL MVP. We'll see if you guys agree or disagree with me. And of course, it is Thursday, which means the BioPure Music City Magic Bucket. It is Zach's sticker week as he waves it right there. BioPure Music City. Protect your crew from the flu with BioPure Music City to your home or to your business. It's that crazy season. The coronavirus rate is going up for infections, also flu season as well as it's getting colder. So BioPure Music City, make sure you have them come out to your home or your office to disinfect your space. So Zach, we're going to have a good show, I think. I think we've got a couple really nice topics lined up for today, so let's get this thing going.
Yeah, trying to solve some problems because, the Titans, after they started 5-0, all of a sudden you blink and they're sitting there at 6-3. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games, and they've got a tough stretch, and they didn't start off very well on Thursday night, and that's the struggle, right? It's been a week since they played. Doesn't it feel like such a long time? And we still got to wait a couple more days. Also play tomorrow at high noon. Check that out. But we got a lot to dive into. So before we get started, please share the show. Bottom right corner of your screen if you're watching on Periscope/Twitter. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. How that works out is you guys retweet the broadcast. Share the show around. Let us pop up in your Twitter followers timeline and help us out there. What's going on YouTube? What's going on Twitch? What's going on Facebook? Facebookers. More people will roll in here, and as you do, please share the show. I just shared the show on Facebook to my timeline. You can do the same. Sharing is caring. Bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. That is share now to public. It's that simple. A lot to unpack. We got the defending MVP who's had his struggles hosting the Titans this weekend. But Lamar Jackson is a threat, but the Titans got to figure out their own issues on the offensive side of the ball. So looking forward to this show and a lot of interaction, including Adoree'. We're going to talk about Adoree' later in the show and desperately need Adoree' back. Where is that trending?
Yep, let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. Check our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for our show, for our business, and for you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, announced their expansion earlier this week. Mandu.com, your first workout absolutely free. And then the Tucker Agency, Nashville's independent insurance agency, saving you money on your personal insurance at TuckerTN.com. Calvin and Subtle for your new hardwood floors and finishings, CalvinandSubtle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, for the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, boneandjointtn.org. Chris says, pound the ball. Henry, Foreman, Henry Brown, Henry, rinse, repeat. That's from Chris Yancey right there.
Foreman, throwing in some Foremans.
Yeah. You got to have some Foremans in there for sure. Because, look, Deontay Foreman and Jeremy McNichols have looked solid. But here's the thing, is the Titans offense started this season 5-0. The Titans in general started the season 5-0, but the offense was the biggest part of that. And then now they're 1-3 in the last 4, and things seem to have cooled off a little bit, Zach. I mean, I'll tell you the stats. Through the first 5 games, the offense is putting up 32.8 points per game. The last 4, it's just 19.5 points per game. So what do you take away from that in the first reaction of almost 2 touchdown difference? Crazy.
Yeah, it is. And Titan 8251 brings up, since Lewan went out, the offense has gone backwards. Now, that has happened. I don't disagree with that comment. But it's not like, I think Titans fans, they've seen bad offensive line play, right? Mariota getting sacked against the Ravens, if you remember, 11 times a couple of years ago. So, I don't think it's like the Lewan missing. I think that there's some scheme that has to be adjusted. I think that the momentum, the one thing that, as I diagnose this offense that they've gotten, I mean, they've gotten big plays. It's not like they haven't gotten explosive plays, and they've had some missed opportunities. The one in Indy where A.J. Brown should have caught for a touchdown to put them up 14-0, I think was massive. He's been kicking himself for a week since that play. I think Derrick Henry we've seen the streak being broken, 100 yards in a game. He was undefeated for so long. And then now all of a sudden 2 games they've lost when he's rushed over 100 yards. So that's not it. It's been up and down. Sometimes Corey Davis is good. Sometimes Corey Davis is non-existent.
AJ Brown, same thing. So AJ Brown either blows up for 100 yards and a score or does it. And I feel like it's the same way overall. Is sometimes they have some of these long, taxing scoring drives, and then other times it's 3 and out. It's pass, run, pass, punt, and it used to be run, pass, punt, right? Mm-hmm. So they're changing up the beat, but it's still unfortunately yielding some of the same results. It's not a terrible offense, right? Don't get that twisted. I do think that it has the talent and the skill and the ability. I think they have to figure out, and they got to figure out it soon, Austin. Yeah.
The first time those playoff graphics went up, right, last week, that was the first time that we've seen it. It's kind of like the first time that the College Football Playoff Committee votes. Last week was kind of all right, we're now on the second half of the season. This is the back half. This is the stretch where you're going to be seeing that graphic every single week. The hard pill to swallow after starting 5-0, last week they were in the hunt.
Yeah, not even in the wild card. You're right. So I'm going to read some comments, and then I'll get to a couple stats that I think kind of showcase what the Titans' offensive issues have really been. Jerome says, Artie has relied on the play action pass too much. There's hardly any drop back passes. We're actually going to hear from Nate Washington kind of about that here coming up later on in the show. Let's see more comments. I want to say Sean says, I think the offense just got figured out. Paulie D says a lot of pressure on the offense because the defense almost need to score every time they get the ball. Let's see. I agree with Lewan or Juan that Lewan is not responsible for drop balls. But Bobby's also right that tight ends are staying in more for pass protection because of the lack of Taylor Lewan. Deontay saying need Adam Humphries too. I think
that's a quality comment because ever since he got knocked out in Cincinnati, Adam Humphries, they're paying him $9 million a year, mind you, but Adam Humphries brings some security for Ryan Tannehill and, more importantly, reliability. We talk about drop passes. Now, he dropped that pass that he got knocked, right?
Because he was literally unconscious.
But so that was not his fault.
Correct.
Adam Humphries usually does not drop footballs. And they need more of those guys on the field, not the drops that we've seen.
Yeah, and Mike brings up lack of trust in the O-line. It's not just Taylor Lewan who's been out. Roger Saffold has been banged up and has been in and out of lineup game in, game out. Ben Jones has missed snaps because of getting banged up as well. And Dennis Kelly has missed a lot of practice time over the last several weeks.
And Nate Davis, when you said he was playing so good, he probably had and it wasn't a terrible game, but he probably of this year, he'd been stacking some good games. He had his worst game of the season this past week. So those all things kind of stacked on each other, and that hurts your offense overall.
Yeah, and Steven says, Austin, you were right about the toss sweeps. They need to be extinct from this offense. I'm right on that too. I see a lot of good comments from you guys, like Ronnie saying the offense is too predictable. Max with a good comment about play calling being predictable. But I want to get to this one, and Paulie D comes back, says play calling on first down is crucial because Zach, that's where I was going to go with this stat. Is the Titans over the last 4 weeks have the third worst first down success rate in the NFL. Again, one more time. In the last 4 weeks, the Tennessee Titans have the third worst first down success rate. And the only two teams they're ahead of are the Dallas Cowboys, who have been playing Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert and Andy Dalton in those 4 weeks, and the Chicago Bears, who we all saw suck on offense. So those are the only two offenses the Titans are better than on first down. And then you bring up the points per game that I mentioned, that they started the first 5 weeks, 32.8 points per game. Then the last 4 weeks, 19.5 points per game offensively, almost 2 touchdowns difference. And then listen to this, because of the bad first down success rates, their 3-and-out rate has skyrocketed. The first 5 games, 12% of their drives ended in 3-and-outs. That's low. The last 4, 27% of their drives end in 3-and-outs. So bad first down, unsuccessful first down has been leading to a lot more punts, 3-and-outs, which does what? Puts your bad, leaky defense out on the field a lot, and games get ahead of you real quick because the time of possession gets ahead of you real quick. That's a problem.
Yeah, and that has been an issue. And you can't afford to go 3-and-out because this defense is probably, I mean, it's the worst defense they've had, I mean, in the last 4 years, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. It's the worst defense of the John Robinson era.
It's the best offense that they've had, but it's
not
the worst
last month. But
overall, right? I mean, they have the best offense that they've had in the last 4 years, but that's a problem if you've had the worst defense in the last 4 years, right? You've done the flip-flop. You don't want to flip-flop. We don't flip-flop on this show. You got to stay even keel, and you got to stay the course. And, something's going on with this offense because those numbers, I mean, they're drastic. They're not just going from 30 points a game to 28 points a game. Right. They're drastic. You're not scoring points.
2 touchdowns. Because also, it looks like they scored 24 points against the Bears, but Desmond King had that fumble return, right? So really 17 points offensively the last 2 games, 20 against the Bengals, and then a legit 24 offensive points against the Steelers, but they had to have a big second half to do that.
They still haven't scored since the second quarter against Indy.
Yep. No doubt.
And it's just uncharacteristic from what we know. So it leads us to our topic today, and that is the question of what is the biggest problem with this Titans offense right now? That's the question we're asking you. I've seen a couple of answers, but here's the direct one. Comment in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. We'll read your comments. I'm actually very curious to see what everybody has to say.
Thanks.
I have my opinion. Austin, I know you have yours. What's the biggest problem with the Titans offense right now heading into 3 key games in the AFC? At Baltimore, at Indy, and home against Cleveland. What's the biggest problem?
All right, but first let me tell you guys about Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. There's so many different ways you can use renterswarehouse.com to help you out financially during this pandemic, whether you've lost your job, unfortunately, or lost significant income. You can use Renters Warehouse to create extra cash flows for you and your family. If that mortgage is really biting deep into your monthly income more than you're comfortable with, don't sell your house. That's an option, but I think that's kind of a panicky option. You can rent out your house, and right now, the renters market in the Nashville area is booming because people rent in uncertain times. So if you need to temporarily rent out your house, and then you can go rent out a cheaper property during the time, that Renters Warehouse can do that for you. And that gains money in your pocket to help you through these tough times. RentersWarehouseNashville.com is where to go.
I'm not telling you to do this, but you could do this. The money that you save from Mirror's Warehouse, you go to MyBookie, and then you go code My Titans. You put down the money that you saved, and now you could double that money that you saved into making money. Again, if you have a gambling problem, probably don't do that. But if you got your head on straight and you have an opportunity now because of Tennessee and really that we've partnered with MyBookie, MyBookie.ag, code My Titans doubles your first deposit. So the question is,
entertainment purposes, right?
Yeah. What is? Yeah. Don't do that for your livelihood. But what is the biggest problem with the offense? The first comment I saw I thought was very, very good. It's from Miles. Miles says the tight ends are underutilized on first downs. You don't really see a lot of passes to Firkser, reliable. Michael Pruitt's been dealing with an injury, or Jonnu Smith. Robbie says it's been a combination of things that has downed them. Ronnie says the threat of Henry will always keep 8 or 9 defenders in the box or at or near the line of scrimmage. So play action will still work if effectively in the run if the run game is not there. Mookie says, as I've always been told, a great offense starts with a great defense.
I've heard the other way around. The defense's best friend is a great offense,
Paulie D says Titans are a run-first team. When the run is successful, play action works. That's our identity. Need to stick to that. G-Man on base says having to keep Jonnu into block and chip rushers is hurting the production badly. Bradley says, gonna say didn't get used to Isaiah Wilson, so it made us rethink a lot. Also feel Tannehill had lost some confidence for whatever reason. Maybe Lewan not being there, lots of drop passes. Need some deep threats every once in a while to get them off Henry. Will Dotson is brought up too predictable. So Jay Rome says brings up the predictability with the passing game. If it's a pass, teams know it's coming off play action. I think that's a really good comment right there. Yeah. Robbie comes in with, as well as 3rd and 5 or more play calling is incredibly predictable. So overall, and I didn't read all the comments, Austin.
Sure, a lot of comments.
But predictability has been the common theme from Titans fans. And these Titans fans that we have on our show, they watch the games, right? They're not just sitting here guessing. I think that there's some value to that.
So Ty says no Lewan, hurting everything from the run game to the pass protection. Plus Jonnu hasn't done anything since Taylor's injury, having to do a bit too much blocking. I think the no, because that's the difference, right? The first 5 games, Taylor Lewan was your starting left tackle. He got hurt in the middle of that 5th game. They were able to put up 42 points against a really bad Houston Texans defense, mind you, minus the Ty-Sam Brilo strip sack fumble on J.J. Watt, snap 1 after the Lewan injury. But ever since then, no Lewan, 19.5 points per game. With Lewan, 32.8 points per game offensively. That, I think, is a big issue because your tight ends were so dynamic down the field. Jonnu Smith, through the first 5 weeks of the season, was your leading receiver with receptions and yards. Now, you were dealing with A.J. Brown's knee injury and Corey Davis on the COVID list during that, so you had your outside weapons not available for all these games, but Jonnu Smith was a weapon. Anthony Firkser had a 100-yard game in that stretch. He was a weapon. Now you cannot afford to do that. Ty-Sam Brilo has been fine, right? But you've been forced to help him out, what you should do, but that's also drastically changed your offense. And I feel like we're going to get to the Nate Washington clip here in a second, so I kind of want to hold off on my answer on this question. And Daryl John says, you can't use Lewan as an excuse. And I don't think we're giving excuses. I think we're trying to figure out what the biggest problem is and give a reason. Taylor Lewan is a Pro Bowl level left tackle. It's hard to just replace that guy, especially when your Pro Bowl level left guard is also dealing with a couple injuries of his own as he's playing through them. And so it is a big deal that you felt great about run left, right? About the left side of the O-line, and now the best part about your offensive line is no longer there. And I off the show, I asked you and Buck one day in a meeting after Lewan's ACL tear. I was like, this is when they were 5-0, right? I was like, can the Titans win a Super Bowl without Lewan? And there was kind of a pause. And clearly no. because the offense.
No, you can't say clearly no. I think that that's a really good question. It's a hard question.
Because at that point, 5-0, they're one of 2 undefeated teams in the NFL.
But Austin, there's one thing that Super Bowl teams, and all of them go through it, right? All of them have an injury.
But your best offensive lineman, who's your left tackle on a run-first play-action offense, that's a big deal.
I mean, it has happened before. We will find that out. I think it is an uphill climb. I want to bring back to Kevin's comment.
Okay.
Kevin said teams have figured out the offenses. So I think this.
Okay.
I think there comes a point where talent can supersede scheme. I think with the Kansas City Chiefs, they have too much talent. Their scheme helps. I'm not discrediting that, but on a scale, they have too much talent. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, their talent level and the experience of Ben Roethlisberger and James Conner and Eric Ebron and Juju Smith-Schuster and Claypool, their talent supersedes the scheme. I think for Tampa Bay, their talent supersedes the scheme. I think the Green Bay Packers, their talent supersedes the scheme. I think the Saints have had a very good blend with Drew Brees of talent and scheme because they haven't had all the talent, but Drew Brees. I think that the Titans, they have to have both because their talent does not supersede the scheme because Corey Davis disappears at times. Jonnu Smith is a good piece. He's not a great piece. A.J. Brown is a great piece, and Derrick Henry is a great piece. But the offensive line, as you said, some of that talent has come away. Roger Saffold has gotten injured. Now you have a backup left tackle. You have Dennis Kelly and Nate Davis on the right side who's giving you good minutes. But and Adam Humphries has been hurt. So, and this was most teams, right? I named at the beginning, those are the elite of the league. For the second to third tier teams, you have to have that blend. And I think the Ravens are going through it now. I think last year, talent superseded scheme. But this year, the scheme has been figured out, and the talent, with injuries in a different year, Baltimore is dealing with some things. So I'm more of, I think teams know that that the Titans offense wants to go through Derrick Henry. So they have more opportunity to defend against that. And the play action is the bread and butter. It used to catch people off guard.
Yes.
I don't think it catches people off guard as much.
I don't disagree. A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday. We're asking you guys, what's the biggest problem with the Titans offense right now? Nate Washington, former Titans wide receiver, who's really good. He was a media favorite when he was with the Titans, to say the least. Had a good answer on what's going on with this Titans offense when he joined Buck Rising on the 615 sessions. I want to play you that audio, and we'll dive deeper into what's going on with the Titans offense. Again, the last 4 games, they've dropped from 32.8 points per game to 19.5. That's almost 2 touchdowns difference. But before we get to this Nate Washington clip, Zach, tell the people about the Tucker Agency.
I will tell you about the Tucker Agency. I do want to bring up this comment real quick because Tress, I think, brings up a good point. Tress says a lot of these issues are controllable. 17-yard punt, drops, missed tackles, lack of coverage that they fixed with cutting Jonathan Joseph. But the injuries are not. I thought that's a really good comment. They have to fix the fixables, and they have yet to do that, and they're waiting on Adoree', which we'll talk about later in the show, and Christian Fulton to return to help that defense. Nate Washington does say something very interesting. Stick around because I do think that this point, I didn't think about it until Austin brought this to my attention on Buck 615 sessions, which is a must listen to on Tuesday and Thursday. And it's award-winning, which is always great. That's great for the A to Z Sports brand. Tucker Agency, though, they can help you save money. Titans fans can go to tuckertn.com and save money on their insurance. Nashville's independent insurance agency, life insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance, car insurance. I went to and got my emissions test yesterday. Okay, everybody's got to do that, right? Registration.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tell you this now. One year, and I'm not proud of this, but one year I went a full year without registering my vehicle. because I just kept writing out the sticker. You get 90 days of grace period. I got through that, and I went the rest of the way. It was one of the dumbest things that I've done.
And you got away with it?
I got away with it.
Was it this past year?
No. This was this is a handful of years ago. This is back in my younger days.
Okay.
When I was more of a risk taker. And so don't do that. But it made me think yesterday. I was like, look, I got to get car insurance, right? I mean, I have to have car insurance. Tucker TN can help me out to do the right thing, the smart thing. And that's what you should do. And that's email will@tuckertn.com. That was a pretty good story time during that live read.
Yeah.
And you can go to Tucker TN and save money too.
Actually, the same thing the year that I got married. I was 28. I got married in the same month that my tag expired and got so overwhelmed with love and joy that I completely forgot and went a whole year.
Yeah, I figured it out. I thought about it month 6 or 7. Yeah. And I turned into Kramer on Seinfeld. I was like, I got to see how low the gas tank can go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Nate Washington on the 615 sessions with Buck Rising. This is from Tuesday's episode this week about the Titans offense. You'll hear him mention the first 15-play script of the game, and then he dives into what he is seeing, former Titans wide receiver Nate Washington.
I just feel like that's what's happening a lot of times with this offense throughout the duration of games. They're not making the adjustments that are going to be necessary in order to sustain, shorter third downs and give themselves an opportunity to remain in a pass run option, but to also go in and give guys like A.J. Brown and Corey an ability to do what they do best, and that's run routes off of play action. When you get guys in longs, third and longs and those things of that nature, play action is not going to be best for you. Now you have to go to a regular offensive-based pass, and a lot of times this offense is just not built off of that. So somehow, some way, they're going to have to find a better way to establish themselves, not only on that 1st and 15 of the game, on 1st and 2nd down, but when it's third quarter and fourth quarter and you now come out of the locker room and that other team has made the adjustments to know what you're trying to get done, you're going to have a counter in your bag. And at that same time, I just haven't seen it from the Titans. And Arthur Smith is definitely going to have to find a way to stay structured with his strategy, but also make sure that he has a counter if someone's trying to stop it.
So there's Nate Washington this week on the 615 sessions. I thought that was a really good piece of audio of him, a guy who knows what the hell he's talking about with offensive football, and especially who put up numbers with the Titans offense. But the gist of it, Zach, is, and I agree with it, it's 1st and 2nd down with this team are so important because of how they are set up. Run through Derrick Henry that leads to play action pass. And when they get in the 3rd and longs, they're having to drop back. Derrick Henry is now off the field because Derrick Henry, while he is damn good as a running back and one of the best running backs in the NFL, he's not good at pass protection. So when Derrick Henry has to come off the field on 3rd and must pass, now you're becoming absolutely predictable, where if you can keep Derrick Henry on the field on 3rd down, now the defense is on its toes. So what's the biggest problem with the Titans offense right now? I mean, it's the stat. It's 1st down efficiency. It's they're in the last 4 games, 3rd worst in the NFL, only above the Cowboys and the Browns in first downs. I'm sorry, Cowboys and Bears in 1st down success rate. That's putrid. That's awful. Those 2 teams suck, the Cowboys and the Bears on offense. The Titans cannot be in that group. And it's like somebody said earlier in the show on Facebook that if it's a 1st down play action pass and it falls incomplete, it's almost like, oh God, right? If that play action pass on 1st down picks up 0 yards, you know they're going to run on 2nd and 10.
So how do you fix it? I think you've right. There are no problems. There are only solutions.
Right. And
what's the solution?
And Nate Washington brought up the counter punch. And I think, what have we seen? We saw 10 games from Tannehill as the starting quarterback last year and then the playoffs. Then we saw the first 5 explode. That's basically 1 full season of seeing what Arthur Smith and Tannehill and Henry in this offense can be. Defenses have now started to adjust. They know what's coming. They know A.J. Brown and Corey Davis are best on crossing routes, on the fluid routes, and not necessarily the intricate stop and go type cutting routes. And so they're sitting on them. They're cheating on the favorite route concepts the Titans like to run. Where's the counter? And now with that, that counter typically is like a double move, but now there's no Taylor Lewan, and Dennis Kelly's not as good as Jack Conklin. He's not as bad as that price difference is, but you've got an offensive line that's banged up. So now you have the time to execute the double move. And if you do, Tannehill puts the ball right on the money and A.J. Brown drops it. And so there's just a lot of issues that are compounding on top of each other. I also think it starts to the offense feeling stressed by the defense's inability to stop anybody. And so every mistake by the offense feels like it's really heavy. And Rob says it's all fixable. Do we think this is all fixable, or is this
offensively or team problem?
Offensively. Is it fixable, or is it snowballing where it might be too late?
So I do think it's fixable. Offensively, why? Because as we talked about, they have the talent. You know, the New York Jets and the Jags don't have the talent to fix it, right? The Titans do. So it is up to the coaching staff to find the remedy to those problems, because I don't disagree with a single thing Nate Washington said, nor what you just went through. I think that you brought up, if you've watched this team, that's the issue. I mean, we've brought up problems, and Taylor Lewan being out does not help, but it doesn't mean that the issues that they have aren't fixable. I do think it's all about situational, right? Situational football. That's what that Mike Vrabel preaches. The problem with, let's just face it, last Thursday night on 3rd and inches, Tannehill gets sacked, they punt, and the house caves in.
Yeah.
So in those situations, you have to execute. On 3rd and inches, you shouldn't think about doing a play action. I know you're trying to get a big play.
Well, and remember, Derrick Henry was out because he was dealing with the shoulder that he had on a carry before.
You have to have the ability to make 3rd and inches.
Yes,
I don't give a damn
Foreman, McNichols, or Henry,
right?
Corey Blasingame.
So now we're defining the difference between excuses and reasons, right? Yeah. And those are the situations that they have to fix, because if they make it on 3rd down, the punt, the shank doesn't happen. They don't get all the momentum back on Thursday night, and then the house doesn't cave in. So that's where Arthur Smith, self-awareness, team awareness, be very aware of the levity of the play. If it is 3rd and inches or 3rd and short or set or 3rd and 12, and you need to pick something up to help your punter, or so whatever it is, that's where I think has gotten them in trouble. But I do agree with Rob. They are fixable. And I'm just talking about offense.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
And I think I've preached to an extent a lot in the offseason and then in the early part of this season that go play action pass early in the game, because you walk off the bus with Derrick Henry's run game established. But now it feels like they've done that too much on 1st down. I'm pretty sure they've run play action pass on the 1st snap of every game. Like at some point, like everybody's expecting that. You've got to be able to change things up, and you don't want to, because every defense, they know when the Titans line up against them, your game plan all last week was 22, stopping 22. And so that first defensive snap, you're getting kind of fired up, and you're staring down 22 in I formation across the line of scrimmage, and they run that play, that run action right downhill. And you're thinking, here you go, get up in it and go stop 22. And then that's when Tannehill can hit somebody in the seam behind you. But at some point now they're expecting that play action pass and now hit him in the face with Derrick Henry, right? It's like, get Derrick Henry going. He's been fantastic the last several games. Even with Lewan out, he's still running, and the whole running offense has been great, whether it's Foreman and McNichols too. It's just, I feel like the 1st down inefficiency puts this offense in a really bad spot, because they also know if it's 3rd and 8, they can't punt, because this defense is going to give up points. And that's a lot of pressure on a 3rd and 8 from your own, 25-yard line. That's a lot of pressure on one play.
Yeah. Travis Johnson brings up on YouTube, interesting. He says, let's be real, guys. The reason play action is not working is two reasons. Number one, Arthur Smith doesn't run Henry enough. Henry needs to be force-fed. That's how the team is built. And number two, Henry needs to run harder. What do you think about Travis's comment, Austin?
Travis. Derrick Henry has so many carries this season. Derrick Henry is 60 yards away from 1,000 yards on the season in 9 games. Derrick Henry is running hard. And Sawyer says they give up on Henry. Like, I don't think they give up on Henry. They were down against the Bengals in the second half of that game and ran the ball like 11 straight times on a drive and scored a touchdown.
I do have to do a timeout on they're not giving Henry the ball enough. I'm just going to – this is a rhetorical question. Okay. But who leads the league in carries, do you think?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, with 201.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's
right?
a lot.
Right. So, like, he leads the league. The next guy is Josh Jacobs of the Raiders with 182. So
what was the difference?
182 to 201. So 19 carries.
Not as much as I thought.
Right. So, like, you look at that, and but still, 20 carries is a game, right? Like, that's a full game of carries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's lack of that. It's about being poignant of your carries. It's so tough though, right? Like, it's a good problem to have, but like, you got to figure out how to use your best player as much as possible without overusing them.
Well, and here's the thing, because Dom says, different Dom, I think, says Derrick Henry says, feed me, Seymour. But again, like, they were on pace for Derrick Henry to have over 400 carries to the first month of the season. They couldn't continue to do that. You've seen over the last month a lot more attempts from Foreman and a lot more attempts from McNichols, and those guys have been fairly successful running the football. So whether it's those backup guys getting 7 carries a game, that's compounding enough to having Derrick Henry save those 7 carries in October, November for what he's about to do the second half of the season. Because if the Titans are going to make the playoffs, Derrick Henry's going to have a huge second half of the season. And I feel like that might be on the verge of happening. They just can't get behind. The defense is not that good.
All right, Austin, I'm going to test your short-term memory. You know how I always ask you Phillip Rivers in his AFC Championship game appearance.
And I never remember.
But I'm not going to ask you that. That's a time for another day. That doesn't have to do with this conversation. But I've asked you this question before. I've told you this answer. Who has the most carries in a single season as a running back?
Because
do you remember me asking you this and telling you the answer?
Because I answered DeMarco Murray. I remember my answer, but my answer was not correct.
Again, don't look at the comments. Nobody has said it yet.
I think it's Larry.
I say don't look at the comments.
I'm not looking at the comment. I'm not looking at the comment.
You did look down, though.
Larry Johnson is what I was going to go with.
Larry Johnson is correct. 2006, he had 416 carries for the Chiefs. So, like, 416. Derrick Henry, through 9 games, has 201. They're going to keep feeding him too, because we're not getting into anti-Derrick Henry season. We are actually getting into feed Derrick Henry season.
Yes, this is the most carries by far in the first half of a season that Derrick Henry's had in his career. Let's look at Larry Johnson. So Larry Johnson was a badass for 2 years, right? In 2005, he had over 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns. In 2006, the year you're talking about, where he had 416 carries, he had 1,789 yards and 17 touchdowns. But what happened to Larry Johnson after that? 559 yards, played half a season, hurt. The season after that, 12 games, 870 yards. Then in 2009, he was 2 teams, and he only had 580 yards. He just disappeared, because that's what happens with running backs when you give them the ball over 400 times in a season. They can't sustain that, and you gave Derrick Henry $25.5 guaranteed $1 million over the next 2 years, including this year, but a total of 4 for 50. And when are you going to cut Derrick Henry?
Yeah, but because Derrick Henry's built differently. Larry Johnson. That boy different.
But I'm not discrediting that. But maybe Derrick Henry can take 300 yards last year, and you add the amount of carries that he had in the playoffs, that was close to a 400 touch season with his playoff stretch. And then if he's going to get 400 touches again this year, and then 400 touches again next year, that's 1,200 touches in 3 years. What is Derrick Henry going to be at age 28 in the last 2 years of his deal? Or are you going to get out of that? My point is
going to be still training, running up hills, and being a badass.
You think, but you don't know. And the trend tells you that 400 touch seasons for running backs typically take years off their life. It's like every cigarette takes 5 years off your life or whatever it is. I don't know what this is.
If that was the case, I'm dead. And I'm not a smoker, but I mean, that's definitely not the same.
That's not the stat. That's not the stat.
We need to revisit coronavirus because everybody on this planet is decimated.
That's not the stat, but there is a stat that every time you do this, you lose 15 minutes of your life. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's every cigarette's 15 minutes. I don't know. But
it ain't 5 years.
It's 5 minutes. Chris says 5 minutes. So every cigarette is 5 minutes. So again, every 400-yard touch season for an NFL running back is probably a year off their life.
I don't know. My grandfather smoked 3 packs a day for 30 years and lived to be 89.
So you're just hoping Derrick Henry is your grandfather is cigarette smoking.
Yeah, and my grandfather was a badass. He was a rancher. That's my dad's side. A rancher, cattleman, judge, just cowboy. Just ripping cigs for 30 years, then quit cold turkey.
Well, so he stopped for 30. He stopped 30 years.
Yeah, he stopped for about 25. But I mean, I'm talking about like waking up in the morning, smoking cigarettes, but drinking coffee.
We're talking
in 1960.
We're talking about going back to back 400 touch seasons for Derrick Henry. That takes a toll on a running back's body. I get Derrick Henry is different. I get it, but at some point, it's going to catch up because even we were talking about Delanie Walker for years on this guy is father time, can't touch him. Delanie Walker, because his first 5 years in San Francisco, he barely did anything. He's got plenty of years, and that wasn't the case. Delanie Walker, he burnt out real quick after those conversations. Derrick Henry is not immune to 400 carry seasons.
Yeah, and nobody is. It's just here's your window, and you use them. You use them up, right? No, it's again. I go back to the Kramer Seinfeld. Let's see how far the tank has, because that's football. That's general managing. That is, hey, we use these players up till we can't use them anymore. Strategically, right? And sign them when you need to sign them. And John Robinson has done a good job of that. He's paid Kevin Byard. He's paid Taylor Lewan. He's paid Derrick Henry. He's paid Tannehill. So that, and he paid Jurrell Casey. But he also traded him away because he felt like he was on the other half, which now looking back on it, because Jurrell Casey got hurt, injury, that happens, it looks like a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt on that. And somebody brought up Frank Gore because Frank Gore, for whatever reason, the guy is still trucking along. But Frank Gore, as I'm looking at his career stats, Frank Gore, 1 season in his entire career of over 300 carries. That's just 1. And it was his second year in the NFL in 2006. Everything else in between 240 and 220 to 280 something. So Frank Gore is your grandfather smoking cigs, but he limited his packs per day. Frank Gore is unbelievable. He is the machine.
Yeah, there are outliers, right?
Yes, and Frank Gore is one of those because nobody knows how the guy is still going.
Adrian Peterson, Renaud brings up, great example. Adrian Peterson is going to be, you forget, he's played for, can you name quickly all the teams he's played for? It's really not that hard, but let's see if you can.
Vikings.
I'm in a trivia mood today.
Okay. Well, I was just about to look up a stat, so I can't close my eyes because I can't find the tab. Okay, so now I'm not looking at Adrian Peterson stats. So Vikings, Washington football team, Saints, and Lions.
That's right. I didn't think you were going to get the Saints. That's right.
Come on, dude. I got that. All right, so Gore is a Toyota. Yeah.
Oh, you missed one.
Did I?
Did he play for Arizona? You missed one. Yeah, he played for Arizona for a hot minute.
Yeah, 6 games. 6 games, which is actually more games than he played for the Saints.
Yeah, well, I did know that. But the Saints got a lot of notoriety because that was his first team different than the Vikings.
No.
No, he went to the Cardinals first?
Cardinals first, then the Saints. That, according to Pro Football Reference. I don't know. So, all right. Look, we've gone 45 minutes talking about our first damn topic of the show. Great. So we've
well, when you're trying to fix an offense, it takes some time.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of topics today to get through still. I think the Titans defense is actually set up to succeed against Lamar Jackson. No, that's not a joke. I actually think the Titans offense is set up to succeed against Lamar Jackson. But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, for 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is free. I just told you guys yesterday that in 2021, it's going to be a big year for A to Z Sports. 2021 is. It's also going to be a huge year for Mandu. Mandu's already expanded to Memphis with 2 studios. For all you guys out there in Texas, they've got Dallas and Austin. They've got Chicago popping up everywhere too. And then Birmingham. We know we've got Birmingham viewers and followers. Ethan Ramsey leading that crew down there in Birmingham. Charlotte.
Big Corona bro.
Yeah, big Corona bro. But hey, Mandu is fine for Corona bro because Mandu is by appointment only. And they've been able to seamlessly transition through the pandemic time. So Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free.
A to Z Sports, double your first deposit. We have teamed up with MyBookie this football season. As Austin said, we got a big year in 2021. It's going to be awesome. We're looking forward to it. We're working like hell at the end of this season to give you bigger and better things. Right now, though, we could double your first deposit with code MyTitans at mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag.
So I actually think the Titans defense is set up to succeed against Lamar Jackson because Lamar Jackson, it's admitted that defenses has figured out the Greg Roman, Lamar Jackson offense, and they're calling out plays, right?
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson is a physical freak. Lamar Jackson beats man coverage most of the time. Lamar Jackson is going to play a Titans defense that plays soft zone coverage, not aggressive man coverage. So I actually think the Titans soft zone, where the strategy is keep everything in front of you, and the quarterbacks that make quick decisions, like Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, quick decision quarterbacks, right? They get the ball out via scheme as fast as possible to open receivers. That's not Lamar Jackson's game. It's not. It's more down the field vertically. It's not elongated. It's not 7-step drop back by any means, but it's down the field and not exactly rhythm throws with great route schemes. It's based off of the run pass option, which is best when the defense plays a lot of man. And also Lamar Jackson scramble. Quarterbacks get more rushing yards off of passing scrambles versus man defense because the defenders have their eyes on the pass catcher and not the quarterback. When you're in zone, you're watching the quarterback the majority of the time. And so I actually think that Lamar Jackson, having the Titans defense naturally keeping things in front of them, makes me feel more confident about the ability to contain Lamar Jackson and not just get torched and cut up and down the field like Roethlisberger and Rivers did. I think this is a better matchup for the Titans. They can have success against this offense.
All right, so I'm going to counterpoint you.
That's fine, yeah.
All right, you brought up points. And I have 2 very simple points to counterpoint. You know what that pulls up, if you have soft coverage, that pulls off second and third and short because you're going to be getting yardage, right? But it also brings up 4th and 1s. And the Ravens are just like the Indianapolis Colts. If it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, even 4th and 3, they're going to go for it. And that, as we saw last week, decimated this defense. It does a couple of things. Even when you do stop them, and the Titans stopped them right out of the gates in the third quarter opening drive. But it is morally compromising when you have to continually defend 4 downs instead of 3. That's my first point.
Okay. Can I respond to the first point real quick? Because I'm glad you brought it up, because I actually wanted to bring that up as well. The Colts went for 4th down 5 times in the first 3 quarters of the game. That's the most any team in NFL history in the last 20 years has gone for 4th down in the first 3 quarters of a game. So that anomaly. But the Titans stopped them twice on the goal line. The Titans defense good on 4th down at the goal line, not good on 4th down in the middle of the field. But again, how they helped beat the Ravens in the playoffs was by getting 4th down stops. And 2 guys that were a big part of that, Jurrell Casey and David Long. So
how many times did they go for on 4th down last year? 4.
The
Ravens did.
Okay.
And they were 0 for 4. But that was last year's defense.
No, I understand. But the Titans defense has been really bad in most areas, but really good in short yardage situations for the most part. They've been really good. They've had goal line stands several times.
To be really good consistently.
I agree, but that's actually one thing they have been consistent at is short yard stops. Denver, the Colts, the Texans. A lot of times they've been able to do this. Now I'll go back to the 3rd down stops, because against the Colts they had 3rd and 8s longer, and the Colts would gain like all but 1 yard, and the Titans defense would be like, all right, 4th down, fists up, right? But they're giving up, even though they got the stop on 3rd down, they gave up too many yards to allow the Colts to go for 4th down. So the Titans really have to be even better on 3rd down than what their rates have showed the last 2 weeks, because the Ravens will go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, so I'll bring up my second point here shortly. Max asked the question, what is the status of Calais Campbell? The man is a big problem for a suspect offensive line. So Calais Campbell injured his calf a couple of weeks ago against Indianapolis. The report on him is that he's being closely monitored, but he's trending up. So his injury is improving. That's his status. But the Ravens still haven't made a decision on him, and will probably be a game time decision or close to that for Campbell. So my gut says that they give Campbell another week. But the Ravens, they're coming off of a loss to New England. It's not like their time is now. It's just like the Titans. Their time is now. This is the focal point of the season. When you play AFC teams, you have to have wins, because that helps you at the end of the year. So my second counterpoint, Austin, is very simple. We've heard about Greg Roman and his offense and, defenses figuring him out. Problem with the Titans is they don't have a defensive coordinator to figure him out.
God, I hate this, because Shane Bowen is the defensive coordinator. Like, he is. He just doesn't have the freaking title. It's Shane Bowen is speaking to the media on the same damn day that the offensive coordinator is speaking to the media. Shane Bowen is the defensive coordinator. He is.
That's not what Vrabel says.
God, I hate this so much. This is such a stupid storyline that Mike Vrabel has allowed to turn into a wart. Like, it's I can't stand it. Shane Bowen is the defensive coordinator. What does the defensive coordinator do? Build game plans, call the plays on game day. That's what Shane Bowen is doing.
He's not getting paid for that.
That's been my whole point. Like, maybe they just didn't want to give him a raise for with a new title. Like, it's ridiculous of how petty this situation is. Shane Bowen is the D coordinator, and yes, Mike Vrabel is highly involved in the defense. That's how it is.
I'm just saying, hard to stop an offense if you don't have a coordinator to do so.
They have a coordinator. Is he any good?
That's not what Mike said.
Well, he also says he's positive that that's not the problem.
He's positive it's not the problem because he didn't have one. You can't have a problem if you don't have one.
He was asked, is the lack of a D coordinator the problem? He says, I'm positive that it's not.
I know.
God, it's just, I am sick of this D coordinator crap. It's driving me insane. Obviously.
I just want to know who's driving the ship on that side of the ball.
Vrabel's driving the ship. Vrabel's driving all the ship. Is
He's
he going
the
to?
captain, but
Is he? Yeah.
it's like one of those. It's like a fire truck. You got to have a guy in the back, steering.
What does that guy do? What is he steering? I've never known. I think isn't he cranking? No, he cranks the ladder. He cranks the ladder.
No, let's see. Back driver on
He cranks the ladder. That's what he does.
Why do fire trucks have back drivers? All right. The rear driver is there to handle steering the rear end of the truck on city streets so they don't wipe out corners as they go around.
Interesting.
Since they run a longer wheelbase than most semis.
Oh, okay. But only in the city. Like you don't see those that much.
Yeah, it's basically for sharp turns. And there's your fact of the day. Nobody knew that. Like the people watching right now, I would say 13% maybe knew that, but the majority did not. I didn't know that.
I thought it was the ladder crank. I don't know. A to Z Sports.
There's nobody. They're cutting corners. There's the lights are getting knocked over because there's no one in the back driving the rear of the fire truck.
No, that's Shane Bowen. Vrabel's up front. Shane Bowen's in the back, just getting all the weather and the wind in his face as he's trying to be the D coordinator. Oh, Jabu says he knew. So, Jabu, congrats.
He's part of the 13%.
Yeah, part of the 13%. So, there you go. All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Titans Thursday. This question, Adoree Jackson not practicing Wednesday. Is that a big deal, small deal, or no deal? But, Zach, tell the people about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to get your hardwood floors this holiday season or next year. It doesn't really matter. They can do it efficiently with great efficiency, but also the cost is less. 615-448-6414. That's 615-448-6414 or online at calvinandsubtle.com. This holiday season, think outside the box. Upgrade your house, renovate your home by ripping up that old dirty carpet that you've been vacuuming with the same old vacuum cleaner for weeks and years, and it's starting to reek. Your dog's been peeing all over it during quarantine because the house is a mess. No, instead, get brand new hardwood floors at a great cost. And tell them A to Z Sports sent you. You'll get an even better deal. I promise you that. Calvin and Subtle, trusted right here in Middle Tennessee. Your wife is going to love you. You're going to come home and be like, look, I watched this sports show. It's awesome. Zach's got the best takes ever. Austin, a little suspect. But anyway, that's not what I'm here for, honey. I'm talking about brand new hardwood floors. Would you want to let's do it. Call Calvin and Subtle, 615-448-6414. You're going to be cruising into 2021 like you've never believed.
A to Z Sports here live on the show. Titans Thursday, mybookie.ag. Code MyTitans to double your first deposit. Somebody asked earlier if we were taking the Titans on MyBookie this week. They're a 6-point underdog. So I think if you're going to take the Titans, that you can get some good value with that. Titans on the money line, plus 220. So mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. You can get some good value. I think the Titans money line plus 220 is something that I'll be eyeing. And also the Titans best bet that comes out on Saturday, our guy Jack Gentry, 6-3 this year when it comes to the best bet for mybookie.ag. So you can win some money there with his picks. So Zach, big deal, small deal, or no deal that Adoree Jackson did not practice on Wednesday. Michael, Dennis, Steven, all big deals. We're all big deal, especially when we don't know what the hell is wrong with him. We know it is a knee injury. We have not been able to get any information on what happened to Adoree Jackson in that late training camp practice in the bubble when he just popped up on the injury report and everybody's like, what happened? Because the media was not there to watch it. So we have no idea what it looked like when he went down. We have no idea what has been going on the last 2.5 months, but he is on the active roster as of last Wednesday, deadline to get him on there. But he did not practice yesterday. So is that a big deal, small deal, or no deal? Zach, I'll let you start.
So I'm between two. I mean, I don't know if this is the right answer, but this is kind of the answer I've stood with for the last 10 freaking weeks. It's no deal. Why? Because he's not playing. You can't expect him. He's not playing. They put him off of IR as a strategy to hope at some point to get him back, but he doesn't look like he's close. Like nothing has shown us. And the roster move doesn't even tell us he's close. That was just a strategy so they don't lose him for the rest of the year. Like that wasn't he's back.
But again, like they did not have to designate him to return when they did. That was their choice to designate.
They had to make that decision.
No, they did not. They could have kept him on IR for as long as possible and designate him to they designated him to return because they thought he was getting closer to being able to return, and they had 3 weeks to get him ready to be on their active roster. They could have kept him on IR, and then.
But after those 3 weeks, you have to make a decision.
Correct, but you're missing my point.
You put him back on IR, you miss him for how long?
Again, you were missing my point. They made the decision in the first place when they did not have to. There was nothing that pushed them to designate him to return. That was their decision on where they thought he was. That started the 3-week clock. They decided he was at a point where it was good to start that 3-week clock. So for some reason, 4 weeks ago, they said, oh, let's designate him a return, get him caught up to speed, and get him ready to go for the second half. If they didn't think he was close, they wouldn't have started that 3-week window.
Well, he's not close enough. And so that's why I'm going with no deal on this, because he's not there. You can't worry. It's like Taylor Lewan's not walking through that door.
Well,
he's
that's
just
a torn ACL. We know that.
But
we don't know.
Adoree Jackson, we know, has not played all season. That's what we do know. And look, the Titans know more about his injury than we do, but it's not a deal because I cannot count on a player who has not been relied on all season. He hasn't. So you have to – that's why they made the trade. That's why they cut Jonathan Joseph. They hope that Christian Fulton gets back from his injury. But right now, this is a football, is a coach speak right here. You got to play with the guys who can play.
Right. That's well, and you say no deal on this?
Yeah, for this week, yeah.
Not
a deal. He didn't practice. Ooh, surprise, surprise. He hadn't practiced.
But again, he's on the roster. They brought him on the roster, and I think it can't be a no deal.
But he didn't practice. He hasn't practiced.
He has sparingly. Throughout the 4 weeks that he's been designated to return, and now the 1 week he's been on the 53, he has practiced several times throughout that 4-week period. Yesterday, he did not. And what does that mean? I don't know. I saw Joe Rexrode tweet out a video of the DBs working on getting off cut blocks. Maybe they didn't want Adoree Jackson working on getting off cut blocks because that deals with your knees. I don't know. That was my positive Titan spin of the day. But I think it's a small deal that he did not practice because I think you've got to get him back. If this team,
we all agree on that.
Yes, but I think it's a small deal that now we're at week 4 and he didn't practice again. Now, what happens today? If he practices today, even if he's limited, you feel better. But we also know, as Chris brought up, that Mike Vrabel is cautious with everybody. Did you see the
week cautious?
Did you
I don't feel good. I don't. If he hadn't played in 10 weeks after an injury that was sustained right before the season, that just like the defensive coordinator situation, they've been downplaying. Something is wrong. Something is not right. And when he comes back, he's not just going to be this spry, ready to go Pro Bowl player. It's just not going to happen.
Well, he was never.
I would be very concerned.
Well, and Kevin says at this point, I expect he doesn't play all year. If he doesn't play all year, then one of two things. One, the Titans completely botched the situation and brought him back and designated him to return and wasted it away. That was
we don't know the situation. He could have come back and then tweaked it or whatever.
Thank you. That was my second point. That he came back and tweaked it in practice. So thanks for letting me finish. So those one of those two have happened. Huh?
I was saying that's the same point.
No, it wasn't. Either they misjudged his injury and designated him to return when he wasn't close enough to be ready, or he came back and got re-hurt.
Yeah, we got to figure out what's wrong with him.
Well, we can try again.
I know. I'm with you. We're kind of just like doing an A to Z sports meeting live on air, but we got to figure this out because it's been too long.
And Sawyer says it must have been ACL related. Well, we have no idea. Rarely do you see, whenever you see an ACL injury, it's torn. you don't sprain your ACL. MCLs, yeah, those get sprained.
Meniscus.
Meniscus don't get sprained; they get sprained,
but you fix them and then you move on. Something's going on.
Yeah, we have no idea. Patella tendon, LCL, PCL, ACL, meniscus. I don't know.
It takes 10 weeks to heal.
A lot of things. It could be a meniscus. Now, but the thing is, we don't know. Nobody has ever said if he had surgery or not. Like, typically, if a player has surgery, here's what happens. The player's agent wants everybody to know, my guy had surgery, so don't blame him for being soft. So the agent runs and tells Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, the league's puppets, and says, hey, my guy is dealing with this here so everybody can know. That hasn't happened. So that makes me believe he did not have surgery, because if he had surgery, we would have known about it.
I mean, right. I mean, we're trying to put pieces together, but we don't have all the pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, no idea. But I think it's a small deal. I'm very eagerly awaiting.
Lower body. That's what we can confirm. Lower body.
Yeah. Well, no, we know it's a knee. Like, they've told us more than that.
It's better to say lower
We
body.
actually know it's a knee. All right, A to Z Sports, 2:00 today is when we will know if Adoree Jackson practiced or did not practice. So make sure you're following us at
What do you
A to Z
think?
Sports. Oh, we're going to go prediction? I'm going to say no practice again.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the smart answer.
Yes. A to Z Sports live on a Thursday. Zach, it is time for the Magic Bucket here on this Thursday. I thought something bad just happened, but a window just jumped on me. So I thought my stream closed.
I had that happen like last week.
Yes, you did.
But it didn't.
It didn't. I'm good. It just moved weirdly on my desktop. So Magic Bucket Thursday. We do this every Thursday. You never know what's going to happen when it comes to the Magic Bucket. But before we do that, we're just talking about Adoree Jackson's injury. Let me tell you about Bone and Joint Institute. If you have an injury, the Bone and Joint Institute is where to go to get the best care possible, whether it's you, someone you love. Make sure you go to boneandjointtn.org. They have you taken care of from the very beginning of your process all the way through the rehab. Their rehab facility at Bone and Joint in Franklin is unbelievable. Like, the staff they have, fantastic. We talked to their lead rehab guy over there, who's a former NFL offensive lineman, a few weeks ago. They're great. All the doctors, fantastic. They can take care of whatever goes wrong. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports. It's Magic Bucket time, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good for everybody else besides Austin and I. I do have a sticker, and
Yep.
I've got a couple, and I have a question. Austin, I don't think you're going to get this question, but I do think that we'll have some people in the chat get it.
Okay.
So here's my sticker. I was like, all right, so it's Thursday. What's next Thursday? It's Thanksgiving, right? So let's get a Thanksgiving theme.
Ooh, yes, because we will not be on during Thanksgiving. So
right. So let's
obviously
represent.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to just get a traditional like happy Thanksgiving turkey. It's got to be creative. It's got to be lively. It's got to be Magic Bucket worthy, BioPure Magic Bucket worthy. So I decided to go kind of humorous and a little jive turkey. So the question is, Austin, if you know, you could say it. What TV series was jive turkey originated from? The saying jive turkey known for in a television series.
No, don't know.
I didn't think you would. It's a tough one.
Don't know and not going to know.
So let's see if anybody can get this.
Rob says The Office. It's definitely not The Office.
It's
because
not The Office. It's not.
I'm actually rewatching. I'm actually rewatching The Office for the second time this year currently.
Yeah. So now it's starting to come in. Good Times, and also Good Times and Shaft. He was also known to say jive turkey again. So I thought it was a great saying right there. Jive turkey. That's good right there. So a little old school throwback, jive turkey. It's putting right there on the bucket.
All right, A to Z Sports, the BioPure Music City Magic Bucket, changing the standard of clean, protect your crew from the flu with BioPure Music City to get them to come to your home or your office for their disinfection electrostatic spray Call them 615-635-0555. Again, 615-635-0555, biopureservice.com as well. They are great. The spray, electrostatic spray is fascinating to watch. They can directly spray your electronics, leaving zero residue. It's safe for your pets, safe for you, safe for your electronics. They're in and out, quick and easy. BioPure Music City, also EPA regulated to kill the coronavirus and the flu. It's flu season. It's coronavirus fourth wave. I don't really know, but it's going on right now. So this is the time to get BioPure Music City to your home or your office and check them out. So Zach, who goes first here?
You pick for me.
Yes. All right. So make sure I grab one. This was torn up. Oh, this is great. I think this was my entry.
Okay,
Zach,
so it's not the one I think.
Zach, you have not seen this. You have to sing and dance the Peanut Butter Jelly Time song. Oh,
man, I have to think about that.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right? With the banana
from Family Guy.
Yeah, the peanut butter jelly song with the banana. Now you can pull your phone up and Zach Massengill says it's too early for that.
I mean, I agree.
It's not too early. It's 9:23, guys. Wake up. I've been awake. I got like 4 hours of sleep last night because I woke up at like 1 o'clock in the morning, wide awake.
I don't even know how I need a reference of
Peanut Butter Jelly Time. Come on, man! Like you got to know this.
I know of it, but it's not just this
just Google it real quick on your phone. Like it's not that difficult to play on your phone.
I'm getting through an ad.
Oh, well, that's how that works, I guess. NJ Titan says I cannot wait for this. Should I? You got it going?
No, just hold your horses real quick.
I thought I heard it, so I didn't want to interrupt.
So we're gonna listen, and I'm gonna watch while we do this.
Yes.
We now go live to Larry Williams in the Channel 5.
I don't know if this is safe, but it is.
Probably because you're up so high. Coming up next, an exclusive interview with Andrew Shue. Hey, Dad,
let's.
pull my finger.
I gotta go a little bit further on here.
How long is this scene?
I don't know. Here it is.
Are you sure? It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Way up, way up, way up, way up. Now there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. Peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly. Sorry, Brian. It's just not doing it today.
Yeah, I guess. Man, I don't even know how to approach
You
this.
can Google the lyrics to it and read
Well,
along.
the lyrics are not my struggle. It's pretty simple.
Oh man.
All right, so let's see here. All right. I mean, I need like some background noise, but I'm just gonna do it. Screw it. Pressure, pressure, pressure. It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Where he at? Where he at? Where he at? There he go. There he go. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time.
Acceptable.
God bless. I apologize.
You pass. That was a pass-fail course. You pass.
I felt like I failed.
Oh man. That's just look, I'm glad that's exactly what I hoped it was going to be. So, and that will go back in the bucket because I've not done it yet. So, congratulations, you did the peanut butter jelly song and dance. All right, so my turn.
That accomplished the goal of and I don't usually feel ever uncomfortable. Very rarely in my life do I feel uncomfortable. That did right before I started. I felt very uncomfortable.
Very nervous.
You accomplished the goal of the damn magic bucket.
Orlando says big cringe energy.
Oh, so much. Love of the show right there. Big
all right, so
cringe.
I've got mine. BioPure Music City Magic Bucket again. Protect your crew from the flu and the coronavirus. BioPure Music City, BioPure Service. Have them come out to your home or your business to disinfect. Electrostatic disinfectant spray. It's awesome. So here's mine.
It's definitely yours because it's like ripped.
Luckily, I've had this. This is the FaceTime. Remember when you have to get somewhere to FaceTime?
Oh, well, you can throw those away because we've both done it.
Did you do it? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I will discard of that. That was a fun one, though. That was a fun one. All right, here we
I
go.
really want you to get this one that I'm waiting on. Is it?
I don't know. But tomorrow to start the show, live on air,
Yes.
I have to shotgun a beer or hard seltzer live to start tomorrow's show.
Yes, that's it. I've been waiting on it. I have been waiting on it, and I'm so glad that you got it before me. The two I was waiting on was the unibrow, which I got, which sucked, and the shotgun and the beer. But you've got a shotgun and beer live on air to start the show. And yes, it's good, but it also is a tough Friday morning at 8 a.m.
No kidding. No kidding. Oh, my God.
Yes.
Oh.
Man, that's a win.
Look, this was a great magic bucket. We got Zach doing peanut butter jelly, acting like a fool. And then the payoff for tomorrow morning. God, that's going to be really hard. I'm going to have like the burps. I'm going to spill it all over myself because that's just going to happen. All right. Good one. I love it. I mean, it's going to suck, but I'm going to do it. And I've got
that's our title. Look, we haven't planned our show tomorrow, but Austin Shotguns a Beer is going to be the first thing. We don't even need another title. It's Austin Shotguns a Beer to start the show, and then
we'll do whatever the hell we do.
Titans or
Wherever we go after that, it's fine. It'll basically be me shotgunning a beer and then making gambling picks. I mean, it'll be perfect. That's exactly what it's probably going to be.
Well, and Ethan says, make sure you label the can of water. That's the best part. He doesn't matter.
Well, and I've got Mill Creek in my fridge right now. So Mill Creek Beer, who's one of our great sponsors for our Titan Game Day Live. Now, what's worse, shotgunning a seltzer or shotgunning a beer?
I've never shotgunned a seltzer.
Me either, because it's higher alcohol and it's super fizzy.
It's not that much higher.
Yeah, not that much, but it's also super fizzy. And I
would probably rather shotgun a beer.
Yeah, but these Mill Creeks ain't no Natty Light either, right?
It's true.
These Mill Creeks are legit.
Well, we'll find out tomorrow morning. Rise and shine.
Awesome. Looking forward to tomorrow's show. Just get drunk at 8 a.m. on a Friday. Hey, not bad. Maybe I'll go golf after if it's nice. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We will see you tomorrow morning on the show where we will have my shotgun selection to start. Thanks to the BioPure Music City Magic Bucket. We'll see you guys then. Appreciate it.